only 36 years after the first arrest in Canada, the Ledane Commission recommended an end to charges for possession and cultivation. In 2001, Canada legalized marijuana for medical purposes. In September 2002, a special Senate committee released its final report, saying that marijuana is less harmful than alcohol and should be governed by the same sorts of regulations. Despite all the facts, marijuana remains illegal.
It's really the center of something, because this whole place represents a misunderstood topic in our society.
Hemp is a totally viable way to increase our economy and to have us all live. It's really nice to be somewhere where my thoughts are in connection with other people's thoughts, and we're all kind of going one way. Like, instead of everyone like this, like, you know, how it can be sometimes in a workplace environment. It's like, we're running like geese, and we're in a triangle, and we're formulating, and we're flying like the Tory birds on that hemp shirt right there. We got hemp right clothes right now for 30% off, by the way. You know how it is. It's fun, dude. The information alone, man. There's a lot of damn books here that you can't get a chapter in.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people here who are not only that, but they are coming in and they are buying these books, which means that this is something important, and that's all it took is to open it up. It's just like people would use more hemp and more cannabis and more products like that if there's areas for them. It's like that, you know, if you build it, they will come, right?
Marc Emery is the man behind the bookstore, along with Emery Seeds, Pot TV, and Cannabis Culture magazine. I sat down with Marc to find out what he thought about prohibition.
But there are no benefits to the current prohibition. Black market prices, enriching criminality, putting good people in jail, causing fabulous price to exist, what's basically weed, the denial of civil rights of a basic nature when marijuana doesn't kill you, but everything that doesn't kill you is legal, from alcohol, tobacco, to fast cars, to guns, prescription drugs, you know, dangerous sports. These are all legal and they kill people. It's provable. Yeah. Whereas marijuana doesn't kill you, but more people are in jail than almost any other crime on earth. Nobody fights over tomatoes, no matter how good your tomatoes are. And nobody fights over cucumbers or zucchini or peaches. Everything came from somewhere else to being received. And that gives you a more tolerant, broad-minded culture. People willing to find peace and serenity and freedom and opportunity here are going to try to give it to other people as well.
Working with Marc is Chris Bennett, a known activist, author, and station manager of Pot TV.
Pot TV is an internet video-based site. We've had over 6 million shows watched. We get about 10,000 shows watched a day. Shows on growing marijuana, medical marijuana, politics of marijuana. It's probably the #1 cannabis activist resource, I think, in the world right now for bringing people together globally on this issue.
Folks, you're watching Pot TV. I'm Jack Layton, leader of the Democratic Party of Canada.
Well, I think that the marijuana movement's grown so massively over the last few years, particularly here in Canada, because of the way we utilize the internet. You know, the computer was invented by heads. The guys from Macintosh or Stone, when they came up with a computer, and if the pen is mightier than the sword, then the PC is mightier than the atomic bomb. And individuals can react from the computer by writing letters to the media and getting stuff in print. They can find out information at their fingertips. There's never been a point in history ever where there's been access to so much information to any single individual.
What's the Vancouver Party for us today?
I guess you're smoking more pot here. If you're not happy with things, then change it, you know? And who else is going to do it if you don't do it? You know what I mean? So every individual needs to get at it, for sure.
Yeah, there seems to be a shift in terms of everybody's now talking decriminalization and would prefer to have that rather than a society where you're putting everybody in prison for it.
Greg works for Emery Seeds at the back of the BC Marijuana Party bookstore. He thinks prohibition is pretty stupid.
None of the laws that exist around marijuana are there because it's dangerous or because it's why they say they're there. It has more to do with politics and power than anything else. And that's all askew now. That was 70 years ago this all started. And this stupid little plant's been maligned ever since, for one reason or another, none of which have been true. So there's a lot of influences working against the ease of decriminalizing marijuana. Canadians are a more tolerant society. We're not quite so ready to put everybody in prison.
Right now, we're talking about a plant that grows naturally out of the ground. Why are we not outlawing alcohol too?
That's a very good point.
I'm sorry, but like tobacco, any one of the myriad of drugs that they try to get us to take. Fair. Like, how is that even fair? See, look, rip off Schweck. Totally.
Prohibition of alcohol in the 20s was different because nobody was making big money off of prohibition. They're throwing people into rehab and drug testing as fast as they can. Those people all make money off of that. So if you make a lot of money, then you have enough money to have a guy go to the government and lobby that marijuana stay illegal to help your business. So more and more businesses pop up around that.
We don't want to restrict the free flow of commerce more than is absolutely necessary.
And the Americans are very strange about it, and they like to think that they control the world.
The U.S., like it or not, is the world leader in terms of setting drug policy.
So we've got this anarchy under color of authority, county to county in California. The response to passage of our law was to resist it. And the people that are sworn to uphold it, they just turn their backs on it and do their best to destroy it.
I know the United States sort of is in a panic right now over possible decriminalization in Canada.
Well, good for them.
You know, United States needs to fucking get the stick out of their ass about drugs. Because really, they're all about making money. So if they're all about making money, fucking get on the cannabis now.
I don't know what the world would do with another 4 years of George Bush south of the border. So we'll hope that doesn't happen because we're all in for a hell of a trip if that happens.
If there's nothing wrong with it, why even give a fine? And if there is something wrong with it, that you think people deserve to be in jail for selling or possessing marijuana, well then they ought to apply that law and wipe it out, as apparently they're trying to do in the United States without much success.
With 5% of the world's population, they have 25% of the world's prisoners.
These are paramilitary organizations, and when you don't have this level of supervision, you see negligence and abuse.
If the U.S. legalized cannabis tomorrow, the rest of the world would fall in the lockstep within a year. So it's unquestionable that they have a significant amount of power to wield in this field. And so, to win the battle there, I think wins it across the world.
I don't believe that the U.S. are in a position to dictate to us. I do believe that we as Canadians should look at what we consider a problem to us as Canadians and then make the approaches that we believe that would best resolve that problem or mitigate that problem to the best of our ability for Canadians.
This is something that comes right to the heart of Canadian sovereignty, and it's very important that we make our own decisions regardless of what the Americans think.
In the United States, they are building prisons as fast as they can and filling them with pot smokers.
The Bush family has major pharmaceutical holdings threatened by cannabis. Anybody who might be a potential threat to the state is eliminated one way or another. And prohibition is the most visible and destructive form of that.
And this is the result of negligent supervision.
George Bush is an asshole, and he's a supreme asshole.
We end up with so many of their guns. If we send them pot, they shouldn't cry too much.
Marijuana goes from Canada and is exchanged at the same rates of pound for pound with hard goods.
They send us guns and cocaine, and both of those things kill people, kill people, kill people, kill people.
Number one, the criminal, George Bush.
Do you realize that marijuana is not like other forms of dope?